Hey everybody, welcome to 101 Weekly, episode 33. And today we're going to focus on the Arsenal manager, Mikal Arteta. And we're going to talk about the challenge that he has ahead of him because the team has been going through some rough scrutiny. Oh, we're going to talk about the challenge. A little kickback there. I think that might be from you, James. Yeah. And yeah, a little the issue is right now with the fans is we have to understand that it's a work in progress. We knew that when it was under Emery, and we have to be careful that we don't go into complete and utter meltdown, because what that will do is that will hurt Arteta's chances. He wants to be successful. He wants to make it as a manager, and he didn't join Arsenal to fail. Yeah, he joined Arsenal so that he could take this team into the upper echelon of the league, of the Premiership. So I want to welcome my panel. La African Guna, thanks for joining us on a Wednesday. I appreciate that, mate. How's your week been?
The week's been all right. It doesn't help that Tottenham and United have won their recent games. Doesn't give us any indication of hope. I mean, obviously, we're always expecting the other big teams to drop. And whenever we get handed a steak on a plate, we seem to throw it in the garbage. We never want to eat our food. I mean, we've had plentiful of opportunities over the years when our rivals drop points, and then as soon as the pressure goes off, that's when Arsenal starts to show up, and then usually it's too late. So, but yeah, hopefully things change.
And how are you feeling now? You've had a couple of days to get over the two losses, and look, I don't think. But the truth is, as you know, I don't think we're going to beat Southampton. I just think we're going to be up against it. But I'm open to the team showing us some amazing spirit and coming away with a win.
So the funny thing, Apollo, is that apparently Xhaka is fit again, and it's so funny that we've gone so low. We've reached such a low point that I actually am excited for Xhaka to come back into the team because it might bring some sort of structure. I mean, regardless of if he makes mistakes, I mean, he's kind of the most experienced midfielder that we have, and we saw how Ceballos played in the last match. That's really interesting. And in regards to what you're saying, I mean, I was really upset, right? I mean, on our Facebook group, I said I didn't even want to come onto the podcast. I was just so done. I couldn't believe that I've gotten let down. I feel like a clown, right? Over and over again. Like I keep defending my team, and then like they just never show up for me. So I've calmed down. Hopefully tomorrow it's not the same, because as I told you, if we lose tomorrow, I see that I think like meltdown all over globally. Arsenal fans are just gonna lose, and we're gonna see more negativity. And you can't blame. Right? We're just reflecting the emotions that have been built up over the years, and yeah.
So I originally had the first three games as a loss. Well, I kind of was bending into a draw against Man City, but then a draw at Brighton and a loss to the Saints. How did you see the first three games?
Yeah, as I said, my head obviously was telling me that Man City was going to beat us, but my heart was saying we might have a chance. As usual, we were taught a lesson, brought back to reality. Then we had a podcast, and we were talking about Saka going in the midfield, and I was like, no way that Arteta.
That's where he is. Yeah, that's where he's playing.
And when that team sheet came out, I got re-energized. I was like, you know what? No Ozil, that's fine. No Martinelli, that's fine. But it's a strong enough lineup to beat Brighton. And I think that we started off the game really well, which we usually do. But as soon as Pepe showed that moment of brilliance, we came back into our shell, and we know that we can't sit back. Arsenal has never been a team to be able to sit back because we don't have the players that have a strong mentality and character to hold a 1-0 to the Arsenal that historically we've been famous for. So I was expecting a win from Brighton. I was really devastated, and to be fair, I mean, I shouldn't have any expectation for tomorrow. But because of my love for the team, I still feel like we're going to win tomorrow. That's just the way how it goes.
I hear you. So welcome again, James. Welcome. It's great to have you back on the show. And how have you been the last week? And how did your predictions for the first three games go?
Yeah, my week's been all right, mate. Usual stuff. Just preparing to get my business up and running so I can do that stuff. Whereas the games, I said we were going to beat City 3-0, and that's just me loving my team, never wishful thinking, really. I thought we were going to beat Brighton. I feel like we should have beaten Brighton. So very disappointed with that. Like African Guna said, we outplayed them for a lot of the game. Like we had so many chances. obviously injuries didn't help, but hey, it's Arsenal, so we'll just move on to Southampton and hopefully get a win.
And what's your thoughts? What's your score prediction on Southampton?
I've said we'll win 1-0, but that's because it's because we have to win. We really have to win. And as an Arsenal fan, I don't ever want to say we're gonna lose, but recently I've had to, I think after the last 2 games, rethink my predictions, mate. And I said beat Southampton 2-3-1, I think, in my predictions. But no, a sloppy 1-0 to us, and like it'll be late on, and we probably wouldn't deserve it either.
I'll take 1-0 all day long away from. I'll take it all day long. Dan, nice to have you back, man, and looking vibrant as ever. I'm enjoying your YouTubes, bro. If you guys in the chat, if you haven't subscribed to him, please subscribe to him. He's on his way to 1,000 subscribers, and just want to welcome. Wow, okay.
Way over that, man.
Way. Oh man, nice one. It's moving so quick, man. I just want to say hi quickly to Cool K, 18, Carletto, and Liam. Well done, guys. Appreciate you guys' company. Dan, what has your opinion been over the first 2 games, and how do you think we're going to do against Southampton? Man's nodding his head already, you know?
I was trying to be positive beforehand. I thought we would do all right, man. But I was being positive about City, but that was more like, PMA, positive mental attitude. I wasn't really deep in my heart. I knew we weren't going to get nothing. It was just hoping that City were going to be in a worse fitness condition than we were, but they weren't. And the Brighton game was just shocking, mate. Like literally, like the African Guna says, the bright spark was Pepe's goal. But everything else was pretty pitiful, man. So I'm not positive for the Southampton game. I've had to. You remember when we were doing them predictions for all the games before? I was like, we're gonna get a few results, and I'm quickly U-turning on that one, man. I hope we get a result against Southampton, but not. I don't think we are. I think we're gonna either draw or have a bad day in the office again.
But isn't it funny when I was talking about 12 points and you lot pushed me to 14, that it was just like, I don't really want to do it because I know this team is only capable, and that's the key word there, capable of getting 12 out of the next 30 points. And the one result that I changed was the Brighton to a draw to a win. That's the one I changed. That's where the 12 points turned into 14, and they couldn't even do that. I mean, for me... Yeah, it is. But listen, I want us to focus on Arteta. I mean, for right now, he's got a massive challenge ahead. And first of all, before we start off, we all know the news. Cedric Soares, Luiz, and Pablo Mari were all offered contracts 2 days ago. This was off the back of David Luiz saying to them how difficult it was for him to play in that Man City game. Obviously, he wasn't fit. I was told from an agent yesterday that he was barely 70% fit, and you can see that because Riyad Mahrez just bursted on him, and he didn't have the pickup speed to go in and cover it. That's why he held him and dragged him for the penalty, and he just looked short. He shouldn't have been on the field, and it's a hard one to call. I'm not really saying anything about it because looking at it in hindsight, he's been such a solid player for us under Arteta. I just want him back 100%, and I want everybody back. I want Martinelli back 100%. I want Leno back 100%. We can't be putting injury, players who are hurt or not fit on the field. And it seems like in the Man City game, they were way fitter than us. I mean, they didn't even leave third gear, and we were completely gassed.
You can tell by their results. You can tell by their 2 results so far against us. And who did they play? Was it Norwich?
Burnley, 5-0.
Yeah, 5-0. Yeah. Oh, yeah. How can I forget Burnley with their White Lives Matter nonsense? Yeah, but like they look like they're ready to go, innit? Like Liverpool look bad. Liverpool didn't look up to it against Everton. Do you know what I mean? City are looking proper. So maybe we just caught them on a bad day as well. Like maybe that's why we struggled a lot with them, because they were performing. You look at how they played in that game; they were tiki-taka passing all sorts, mate. Yeah, so we just look below the pace right now, don't we?
We do, and that's the thing. Coming out not being 100% the preparation really let us down. It was one of my 5 things. I did a video, which is 5 reasons that we're going to beat Man City. And Aubameyang was number 4. Preparation was number 5. And in terms of preparation, we weren't as fit as them. They completely, as soon as our legs started going, they took control of the game, and then it was one-way traffic, man. But really, with Arteta, now they've made the contract offers for those 3 players. So at least they've got something going on. I don't know what the salaries are. They can't be that much. And funny, you take the best centre back in South Africa, sorry, not South Africa, South America, who was voted, which is Pablo Mari, and you're paying 14 million for him. So that's a steal. I don't think there's anywhere where you can get a centre back of that kind of caliber for 14 million. So let's just hope he delivers on that, because he doesn't have a heavy price tag to go with it. But
he's looked good. He's looked good as well. I think Mari deserves more credit, because a lot of Arsenal fans I see writing him off, like telling us he's too slow and all that. But when he was on the pitch the other day, he was definitely our most assured player for that period that he was on the pitch.
I'm definitely glad that he's signed a contract. So I'm definitely happy about that.
Yeah.
Half and half with Luiz, but that's him doing what David Luiz does best, and ironically his worst. So. But happy with Mari for sure.
So, guys, the one thing about Arteta I want to talk about is Arteta has had to fully appreciate the scale of the job that he faces at Arsenal now. It hasn't changed from the day he walked through the door. This was a team who had only like 2 wins in its last 17 games. They were awful. They were leaking goals. They had no plan. And he started to put some things into place. A bit of disappointment from me, and I'm a big Arteta fan, where I have been disappointed is I haven't seen that level of tightness. He's had the team compact. He's had them tight. He's had them doing a job. They've been listening to his instructions. And in many ways, the only weakness we had, again, when we lost to Chelsea, was the fact that our fitness levels were poor. But against Man United, when we beat them 2-0, that was when everybody said, the fitness is there. When we beat Everton 3-2, everybody was like, we can beat a good team now. But against Brighton, we saw none of that. All of the improvements, which I have been saying we've been seeing, I just didn't see it against Brighton. And that's the danger right now for me. I don't want us to fall into this. This Southampton game is crucial, because I don't want us to fall back into this Emery style of where the players just don't care anymore. Because, look, Arteta noted that the midfield was too open, the defenders don't close down attacking players. All those things that were wrong, we're starting to see it happen now. The African Guna, where is Arteta's mind right now? What is the things that he has to focus on at the moment?
So, before I touch on that, I just wanted to touch on my opinion of the 3 deals just quickly. So the first one was about Cedric Suarez. To be honest, I'm not too fussed about that. We had already discussed that we expected him, obviously, to be signing. That is why we actually pursued the loan in January anyways. And I think that he's actually, he's Premier League proven. I know it's at Southampton, but he's got the skills. If we let go of Bellerin, I wouldn't mind having him as a starter and potentially looking at Maitland-Niles as a backup right back, or even pursuing someone else on the cheap. So for me, the right back position isn't too much of a big deal at the moment. So I'm fairly pleased with that signing. The second one is Pablo Mari, and I know that you guys say that he's a good defender and stuff. Sorry, for me, I haven't seen enough. And it's not that I haven't seen enough from him. He just hasn't had enough game time for me to really have a solid, foundation or opinion that he actually is a good center back. And then the other thing is, 14 million is it's not a lot of money, like you said, Apollo, and he was ranked as the #1 South American defender. But for me, I would rather take that 14 million and make a big world-class signing like Upamecano or Koulibaly than make these small little signings like we always do. We never go for one big player. We try to get 3 or 4, average players to fill in that spot, and then they either don't perform or they get injured, and that's kind of the story for Arsenal. And then the third one is David Luiz, which we spoke about on our group, and I told you I'm absolutely disgusted with that decision. And I know that you guys say he brings experience to the team and all the other points that you bring. But for me, you know, as I said, Apollo, we have had average players for 7-8 years. You know, I'm tired of accepting average players at Arsenal, regardless of how good he's been under Arteta. I don't think it matters who the manager is. I think as a whole, we need to start looking at the players and get rid of all these average players. We've had El Neni, Mkhitaryan. We have players that we shouldn't even have. Like, we should have gotten rid of 2-3 years ago. We need to get rid of all these players and start from scratch again. Have like 9-10 players in the first team and have a bunch of youth players and start getting these, you know, Mopai or Dunk or these championship players. I wouldn't mind, because they have the basics. We don't have any players that know how to have the basics. And the problem with David Luiz is I feel like he's going to continually make mistakes, and I think that he's reached his time. His age is caught up to him, and yes, he has experience. Yes, he's a decorated player, but he's never going to make Arsenal a top 2 or top 3 team for me, in my eyes. So I think it's a waste of money. But I do see where, you know, he'll bring defensive coverage, and that just signals to me that we're not actually going to go and buy a big world-class center back. We're going to rely.
We're not. It's not going to happen. Yeah.
How is that? You know, that's disgusting. We've known for the last 5 years that our number one priority is the center back. Okay, last season we had opportunity to buy Pepe and we spent 72 million. Okay, you know what? That's fine. We got Pepe, but that means this season we had to go and buy a defender. So what's going on? If the whole world can see that Arsenal need defenders, right? And even pundits over the last 4 or 5 years, what are they saying when they watch Arsenal? Arsenal are shambolic defensively, right? So if the whole world can see it, included pundits that we don't like, but are actually saying the truth, then why is it that our board can't see this? That's my
well, I can answer the question. I sent you the sheet last year when, you know, we spent just under 140 million, which is more than any other team last summer. And yes, while some of those are deferred over a couple of years, that's how every other team's doing it. So it really doesn't make any difference. I know Arsenal fans start to throw that one out, and it's just like, hold on, where have you been for the last 20 years? That's how Man United, Man City, all these teams, that's how they buy their players. Liverpool, I think they did a last payment on Firmino, you know, and that was like 3 or 4 years ago. So
but
it's
these are all good players. When we do
yes,
it,
they are.
not proven players, and then we get stuck in this mess, right? So before, we never used to spend more than 30-40 million on a player. We used to just cheap out. Then when we decide to actually splurge the money, we end up buying players that actually don't fit into the system or just are not productive enough for us.
But here's the problem. We have not done a good job in generating money. And that is the reason why, like what you're saying, why don't we go out and buy this? Why don't we go and spend this money? It's because we have to do it one step at a time. Pepe was a step that they decided they wanted to take last year. I don't agree with it. I think we had players there. I think they were a bit worried because Mkhitaryan wasn't what they thought he was going to be, and they thought they needed a wide man. Lo and behold, they get Reece Nelson, they get Saka, they get Martinelli, they get 3 guys in who, and believe me, if they realized what they had in those guys, they would not have bought Pepe. They would have gone for Pancano, who was on the rails last summer to become an Arsenal player. But when you're building a team like that, you have to take it in different stages at a time. And I think we sold, and I think I sent you this message a couple of days ago, we sold 26 players over the last 18 months and got a combined amount of 70 million for them. That can't even buy Pepe. Could you imagine that? You've got rid of 26 players and it doesn't even come up to the value of Pepe. So it lets you know how bad our team is, how worthless and useless they are, and they don't have any market value at all. We'll get nothing for Mustafi. We'll get nothing for any of for Kolasinac. We'll get pennies for these guys, and it's just not enough to go in and make a big splash on a player. And it just isn't. And with the news
go for it. No, for 2 things. You're totally right. I mean, yes, it's one step at a time. But in the last 5 years, we've known that one player we need is a defensive player. So your point is, it could be one step at a time. That's fine. But then buy the defender, because we all know that's where it starts. We have flary attacking players. We can make do with average players up top. But defensively, if we can't even hold a 0-0 game and not concede in the game, we're always going to have a chance to lose. And that's been the problem, right? The second thing to address is the 20 players that we've been selling. That's a mentality and culture of the club, right? Every team in the world knows that they can mess around with Arsenal. If we're trying to buy a player, they know they can suck up more money from us because we are like a soft team. Like on the field and in the executive boardroom, teams around the world know that they can get even the best players, RVP, Sanchez, for absolutely nothing. That's just the way Arsenal is looked upon in the world, in the world of transfers, right? So that mentality needs to change. It started with selling Iwobi for 40 million, but I mean, it needs to be like that for a bunch of our players. And so we need to restart.
I think I'm on the sideline, and I'm going to continue to stand on the sideline because the fans are very quick to judge. This front office has only been here since last January, most of them, especially the director, which is Josh Kroenke. Vinay, Raul, Edu has only been here from last summer. So Hus Fami, who does the contract and negotiations, he's only been here, again, a little time. So there's a lot of things that were going wrong with Wenger, Gazidis, Dick Law, who are now gone. So those are the culprits of where we are now. The people who are in here at the moment are trying to fix a problem that's been in the club for many years. And when you're at business level and you've taken over a bad business, the first thing you have to do is put out fires. And unfortunately, in my opinion, as a businessman in London, I still think this team is putting out fires. The fact that they are in the situation they are monetary-wise, and with all the dead wood in the team that they can't get any value for. They got some value for Iwobi last year, and that went a long way into getting Pepe in here as well. But they still are stuck with a lot of these bone average players. I want to move on to James. Because the other two guys haven't had their say yet.
You were saying that. Yeah. Just quickly, you were saying that the people who have just come in have been there for 2 years. There's not one player that they've signed, including Torreira, Pepe, whatever, that have actually had any output in our team. So I have to disagree with you.
Well, that's Martinelli, that's one.
Martinelli, yes, except for Martinelli. One out of.
So, James, so right now the players, for Arteta, the players are devoid of confidence. They don't have a lot of confidence. He's heard the anger of the fans right now. Arsenal, he's picked up a team that was in 14th place, that were close to relegation. And he's underlined the fact that how far Arsenal have fallen behind the elite clubs. So my question is, why have the fans had such high expectations so soon, James?
It's because we're Arsenal. Like, we should expect whoever the manager is to even get the job for a team of Arsenal stature to at least want to be in the top four, right? Of course, we always want Arsenal to win the Premier League because we're Arsenal, and I think it is the fans. We're losing hope rapidly, and you know what they say about the fans? They're like the 12th man. Like if we are losing faith rapidly, then no wonder players are losing morale. They don't want to hear the boos every week, and then that makes Arteta's job even harder because. We've heard what you said. We've seen it. We've seen that he's making a change. It's just everything is stacking up against Arteta. And to be fair, don't at this moment in time feel like Arsenal is almost becoming like the impossible job because we've had these players. They've just been in a rut for so long.
That's a good quote there.
Yeah, we have just been in a rut, and as an Arsenal fan, it's disappointing. You know, like. We should, like, I'm fearing we're just not even going to get into Europe this season, you know, like, that is, so we have to level with that. That's just what I feel now. I've had hope, high hope, that maybe, just maybe, we can nick some points and get a couple of wins that no one expected so we can get in Euros. But the more and more we go on, and we're just going to finish 8th, maybe 9th, you know, and we're not used to that. And
I love the fact that you said that it's an impossible job. It kind of is, because when we talk about Liverpool, we talk about Man United, and we talk about Chelsea getting Lampard in. Well, those clubs are going to get behind those managers financially. At Arsenal, okay, so we brought in Unai Emery. In his first summer, he didn't even buy any players. Seth Mislintat did. When the January came and they told Emery, right, you can go and choose some players, he wanted to get a view from Sevilla, Valencia, who we had played with before. He wanted to bring in some players who we all heard about. And then they realized they were up the shit creek because of financial fair play. And in his first official transfer window in January, he couldn't spend a damn penny. And then the summer came, and we all know they had a big explosion. Pepe came in and all that, and we all know about that. But he didn't really bring in any players. All of the Guendouzi's, the Torreiras, all these all that was all Sev Mislintat. Emery had failed at a club in 18 years without bringing in a single player. That is detrimental to a manager's success. The fact that the players just didn't bond with him. It became so transparent that they everything fell to pieces after Baku, and they never recovered from that. And Arteta, when you say it's an impossible job, well, already he's coming into a summer now where they've told him that, and I knew this was going to happen. I've said it on this show many times. I said, if anything goes wrong financially with us, they are going to take from the transfer kitty and subsidize the losses. That's what any smart business would do. Only an idiot would not do that, because then what you're doing is you're going into a hole, an insufferable hole, which you've got no plan to come out of, because if their fans don't come back next season, they have to find 144 million from somewhere. Yeah. And that money, all this talk what Kroenke said, oh, I'm going to help the club. That was 2 months ago. He ain't said a word since. And I knew it. I said to you guys, I can't see him taking out of his own money, because he hasn't done it in the past. He bought this club because he knew it was self-sustaining, and they are going to take. And then free agents all told me last week, transfer kitty is going to be the first plate of money that's going to help with the losses. I said, I knew it. I'm not even upset, because as a businessman, that's what I would do. It's only the smart thing to do. But what it now means is that Arteta has to sell in order to buy, and our players ain't worth jack shit. So I just want to go through the guys here. Carletto saying our revenue stream is tight. We won't get up now. We might get Party, but Upamecano is off the table. We can't afford things like that. One good deal we're good for this summer, I believe. Style is saying it's a mistake if we don't bring O'Connor back. Well, we already have. We bought Saliba last year, and we paid good money for him. And this year he's had an experience, which he was fantastic. He was their player of the season, and he'll be an Arsenal player next season. So let's not sort of get too negative about the situation. We will have a new corner centre back coming in. Aaron saying we do deserve a big, well-known signing. Pepe was a random transfer. I think Pepe was a big transfer because Josh Kroenke said, we're going to blow the socks off you. After the fans were dearing him, they were like, yeah, we ain't done nothing. And he said, yeah, you wait, I got something in my back pocket. And when Pepe came out, who Man United and Borussia Dortmund and Liverpool were after, and we bagged him. That was a move that slapped. That was a slap down. Yeah. Carletto is saying, yeah, we spent 100 and we're still, yeah, that's because they haven't really panned out. And Adrian is saying, I feel we're moving in the right direction. So do I, Adrian. And it's important for fans like you to voice their opinion of the fact that Arteta is the right man. We are moving in the right place, and it's a work in progress. I cannot state that enough. Guys, this is a work in progress. This team is broken. It always has been broken, and it's been broken for a long time. And it's going to, 2 months isn't going to be enough to come out of this. We need to be patient, and we need to give him time. Dan, failure for Arteta could impact his managerial prospects, right? I mean, it shows how much he believes in himself that he took this job on, knowing how severe it was. So what does he have to do now in order to get this right? What's his next steps?
Well, I think you kind of touched on it a minute ago, man, when you were saying it's a massive job. It's not like, remember when Klopp came into Liverpool? Arteta's doing the right thing. Like, the last game, yeah, cool, we played terribly and it looked like we'd regressed and that, but he's doing the right thing. He's trying to establish his form of play, yeah, and then eventually get the players in over a period of years, which is what it's going to have to be because we're broke. Like, you get me? So it's going to take a few years for him to get the players in. And that was always the plan. We've forgotten. We're like goldfish, man. Like, when they hired him, they were like, this is long term. You get me? It's not a short thing. He's going to have to do his thing over a period of years. Look at Liverpool. They started a pattern of play. They started a style of play. Klopp established it with the high pressing, high intensity, yeah. And then they were shipping in loads of goals for the first 2 seasons of Klopp, loads. And then they brought in Alisson and Van Dijk within the space of like 6 months, and then all of a sudden they win the Champions League and they're going to win the league this year. So it's going to take time. So we need to temper that. The problem with Unai Emery, yeah, when he came in, he tried to adapt the play to the level of the players he's got. So he tried to make us defensive because he knew that we had to be ultra defensive to stop shipping in goals, which was the wrong move. You need to establish your identity first. That was what everyone said about him. We had no identity. We couldn't see what our identity was. Arteta's establishing our identity, but it's going to take time. He needs the players to play with that identity. We ain't got them. You get me? And like I'm saying, we can't just get rid of them for a decent amount of money to bring in new players. That's what Liverpool did have. They had the Coutinhos and the Suarez's that they could ship off for loads of money. Who have we got? We ain't got no one. So it's going to take a little while. Do you know what I'm saying? It's going to take longer than Liverpool. It's going to take like 5-6 years to become anything close to being a force again. We need to accept as Arsenal fans what position we're really in. We're not going to be like challenging for titles. We can't go and buy Upamecano and solve the problems. And just bear in mind, Upamecano gets injured every year with a major ligament injury. So if look at the last few years of his career, do we really want another one of those at Arsenal? You know what I'm saying? We'll sign Upamecano. We'll be like, oh, we got Upamecano, 70 mil, yeah, sick. And then he gets injured for 9 months or something, bro. Like, nah. Stick with the plan that we've got. Let Arteta establish the identity. Let him whip people like Guendouzi into shape, because when we're talking about, oh, we've got players now, yeah, none of them are worth anything. Think about players like Guendouzi. How much did we sign him for? How much would he go for if we sold him right now? Or last season? Remember when they were talking about getting 60 million for Guendouzi? Yeah. So we have signed players that we can build up. Torreira will be worth more than we paid for him if we sold him right now. He'll be worth about 40 million, 50 million. That's what AC Milan were looking at him for. We signed him for 26 mil. So he's worth more than we signed him for. It's just the older players that Wenger bought, that era of players, are not worth anything now. Leno will go for more than we bought him for if we sold him now. Yeah, all these players have increased in value. We've started to change as a club. Just ride it out, boys. You get me? Like, it's going to take time, but Arteta's going to do it. Like, he's got the basics of what we need, an identity. It's been established. Like, we're supposed to be a high pressing team. We didn't see it against Brighton, but like we've seen it in the games prior to the lockdown. We had our identity starting to come through again. So let's just ride it out. Let him get rid of those players that ain't with the program. Clearly, like Lacazette, maybe even Aubameyang. I hate to say it, man, but like, he's our best player by far. But
I think
I'm
he
not
needs
sure
to
whether
go.
he's with the program, bruv. I'm not sure, because when I've watched him the last few games, he ain't been.
He's been one of the worst players on the field, and you can't have your star player and quality striker just completely obliviously missing for 2 games.
Yeah,
you just can't do that. And I said this to African Guna last week, and when you're playing a big team, your big stars show up, and you just can't do it. You can't go missing in a big game. He was a non-factor against Man City, and that's what's disappointed. He's disappointed me against them previously. Before, I mentioned this a couple of times when he played 2 games and he missed a penalty in one of them. You just can't have that from your best player, and now he's holding you to ransom because you got no money, you can't pay him, and he's contracted to for another year. I just let him sit in the team for another year, or if we really don't have any money and someone comes in with 60, 70 million in Europe, I'd sell him. I really would, because that would be money that you can reinvest, and you can get the likes of Partey. You can close a few good deals and get in some solid midfielders who would make this team, give them a spine and make the team more stern. Not having a striker. I mean, we'll get goals. Martinelli I've got no problem with Martinelli replacing Aubameyang. Believe me, I've got no problem with that whatsoever. If I had to choose to get 70 million for Aubameyang and start Martinelli and let him play like Sanchez and create goals and score goals and do all that stuff, that is a deal I would take all day long. But for me, African Gunguna, Arteta's inherited a group of players that are just, there's Granit Xhaka, who lacks the speed and mobility required for the holding role. Torreira, 23, Nelson, 20, Nketiah, 20, Willock, 20, Saka, 18, Martinelli, 18, Guendouzi, 18. these players are still raw. When we heard the Leo Sane and we know De Bruyne and Sterling and all them guys, Villa singing Arteta's praises, Leroy Sane said a few days ago, which I pinned up on my YouTube channel, he said it got nothing to do with Pep Guardiola. Arteta was the man who developed me. And I've been saying this week after week after week about Villa, De Bruyne and Sterling. But Sane was a player who didn't say that on Amazon Prime. So it's great to hear him say that now, Le African Guna. He's another player from City who was saying he's been developed by Arteta. So these kids we've got here who are raw and they're not performing to their best. Some of them aren't in terms of Willock. And we've got obviously Smith Rowe to come in. And we've got Saliba who's going to be coming in after the 30th of June. Don't we just need to give Arteta time?
Yeah, 100%. Listen, I'm not disagreeing that Arteta isn't the right man. 100%, I feel that he is the right man, and I am giving him time. My issue is with the players. It's just I don't think that, as I told you, yes, coaching. You can coach some players to be a better players, but there's some players that you just can't coach, and if you don't have the talent, you're never gonna make it in the first place, and that's my issue. I agree with you. We have a lot of talented upcoming players, and listen, Idan, I don't think Guendouzi would ever be sold for 60 million. I mean, that would never happen in my eyes. Yes, maybe 30 to 40 million you could get for him, but these guys are not the finished article, right? And the problem is in a league that is so competitive, where you're competing with the likes of even Sheffield United being on top of us, Wolves, Leicester, you can only afford to have maybe 2 or even 3 of these youngsters starting in our first team. And even when they're starting in the first team, it shouldn't be in the Premier League. It should be in the lower, in the Europa League or the FA Cup or the League One Cup. The Premier League is supposed to be your strongest team, your strongest possible team. And, over the years, even with Wenger, we haven't been playing our strongest team. One thing I wanted to address about Aubameyang, I 100% agree. He isn't performing. But at the same time, I do feel bad for the guy. He's playing in a team that is not creative at all.
Yeah.
He has no creativity, and he's not playing as the central striker. I really feel that if he played up front, that he would have more motivation to score goals. I feel like he's tired of playing out on the wing.
It's funny you say that. The last 3 team sheets that you've done with us, we've all been a part of it. And it's a consensus team sheet as well. It's no one choice. It's a community choice that we've had with the guys in the chat room as well. We've all been a part of it. And every single game we've had Aubameyang playing up front.
And it never happens, right? And in regards to what you were saying about Arteta, I mean, guys, listen, under Wenger, we used to have this issue, right? We try to pass the ball into the nets. I don't know why. It's an Arsenal thing. We don't like to shoot from outside the box. We don't have midfielders that want to take on shots. I mean, that goal Joe Willock scored against Liverpool, what a goal. That's what we need from our players, to take on shots like that more often. We're too slow, right? When we get the ball, we are so slow that by the time we get to the halfway line, the opposition team is already 11 players behind the ball. And we don't have any creative players to actually go and take on and dribble players to actually make something happen. So what we do is we get the ball, we transition way too slowly, and then no one is going to take a shot from outside the box, and then our creativity is just missing. And I think that's something Arteta needs to work on. Even if it's with the kids, try to teach the kids to, I guess, transition faster and go for the kill, play on the counter attack. We have speed. Why aren't we using it? Even against Brighton, we are so slow. They have a couple of players out of position. Why aren't we just, going for the kill, right? We get 1 or 2 goals and then we can sit. And even if they score 1 goal, it'll be 2-1 and we can maybe hold out to a 2-1 to the 90th minute. But if you're a 1-0, we know with Arsenal that if we sit back, that's not going to happen, right? So that creativity needs to come from somewhere. And hopefully Arteta can develop these guys to start teaching them to shoot more often, right? I mean, we can't keep passing the ball.
Yeah, I'm going to come to you, Dan, and I'll ask you the question as well. I was going to ask this question to James, but I'll do the other one. Dan, part of the problem we looked at was that when Arteta was playing, we had 21 goals from the midfield. Cazorla, Ramsey, Ozil, Arteta himself, he was scoring, but we've got 1 goal in the midfield this season. So you can understand why he's put Saka in the midfield, right? And in his first game, what does he do? He hits the crossbar after 10 minutes. So you can understand why he's done that. He wants more productivity from the middle. Go on, Dan.
Do you know in relation to both of those points that the African Guna and you've just said is confidence. It's confidence, bro. When Joe Willett scored that goal, he was in a confident mood. He's got the ability to run past people. He's got the pace to run past people. It's just is his confidence there to do that, to be able to take players on. We've seen Reece Nelson do it loads in the youth team. Just run at people, take them on, go past them. See him do it in the first team, sideways, backwards, turn around, scared to lose the ball, because what happens? We turn over possession, they attack our defence is flimsy, and then just gets overrun, and then we lose a goal. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's confidence, man. We ain't got no confidence in what's behind us. So it's like, don't lose the ball when you're up front, lads, because if we do, they're going to score, and then you're going to be the one to blame. And then us as Arsenal fans have to take some responsibility here, because as soon as a player makes an error that leads to a goal, what do we do as Arsenal fans? I don't see any other club do it. What do we do, guys? We slaughter them.
Yeah,
we slaughter them, bro.
Because it happens way too often, right? And confidence comes with talent. If you have talented players, they're automatically confident. You don't need to give them confidence.
Mate, these guys are talented. If you see them in the youth team compared to their peers, they are talented players, bruv. Like our youth team after Chelsea, our youth team was the best youth team over the last few years. Yeah, Chelsea had an unbelievable youth team, but they never played their players apart from now and the Lampard. But after them, it was us. We had the best under-23s team. Like we were just. If it weren't Chelsea, we were blowing teams away. Yeah, so it proves we've got the talent. Our first team, you're telling me Pepe can't take players on? He tries it every single time. All the other. You see, if we've ever seen Aubameyang run at players and then he don't do it when he's in
he doesn't do it enough. That's what really winds me up. It's like this guy's got speed to burn. Are you telling me if against Brighton he was up against 6'3" defender and a right back, and are you telling me, and they were playing a high line in the second line, are you telling me you can't push the ball 20 yards forward and outrun him? Are you telling me you can't do that?
But it's confidence, Apollo, man. Like, do you remember people like Joel Campbell when we had him? Yeah, that guy could run with the ball and that. But this guy, week after week playing for Arsenal, his confidence got shot, bruv, and that's why we ended up getting rid of him. He was a talented player, bruv. When you see a lot of these players that we're talking about play for their national teams, they will run at players, and we're like, why can't you do that for Arsenal? Do you know what I mean? Ozil used to run at players for Germany.
Yeah.
Do you remember the goal he scored? I know this is a long time ago, but the goal he scored against England in the World Cup. He was running past loads of people, man. Like, and then he used to do it for Real Madrid as well. But then it comes to Arsenal, like players are scared to do stuff for us, bro. I'm telling you, if you actually watch our players, they're scared. Bellerin, when he gets the ball, he's scared to fire the crossing because if it's a shit cross, everyone's gonna go, Bellerin can't cross the road, bro. Like, nah, man. We need to stop slaughtering our players, and maybe they'll have a bit more confidence. Arteta needs to put it into them as well, bro. Like, it's his job, really. You know what I'm saying? His job. That's what he did with Sané. That's what he did with Sterling. He put the confidence into them to be able to try new things, man. Sterling plays a different game than he used to because of Arteta. You get me?
So let's see what let's see what the chat room's saying. Aaron's saying we need to support him and stop acting like, that's the reason why we're having this show. This show is completely based around Arteta, and it's based around supporting him and finding out what our expectations are of him. Because if a fan is going to come up to me and says, oh, I expect him to make the top 4, then bro, you smoking something. Yeah? You smoking something. That's all I'm going to tell you. So what is your real expectations? That's what we're trying to do right now, so we can just try and calm the fan base down a little. Yeah, just relax your shoulders. Try not to expect too much, because believe me, that pain you're feeling right now, that is a pain of expectations. Yeah, all what I've seen over the last 3 days, I've been fine this week. Believe me, I've been fine. And if we lose to Southampton, I'm still going to be fine, because you know why? Because I didn't think we were going to win any of our first 3 games anyway. Yeah, so I'm good with that. Yeah, my issue comes when we have winnable games that I class as winnable. Those are the games that we have to really push hard in. But even the ones that that are not winnable, make yourself accountable. And unfortunately, what I've seen against Brighton, not so much Man City. Man City, we were just outclassed by a better team. But against Brighton, we didn't work hard enough. Yeah, Mustafi got turned easily on the second goal. Lacazette didn't. And Lacazette, how many weeks have I told you guys that defensively, Nketiah is a far better player than he is. Nketiah, if you watch the 5 games he started, he runs and shuts down short corners. He runs and helps the midfield in the rondo. What happened against Brighton when they had the 2 guys there and nobody closed them down when Lacazette should have? That would never have happened to Nketiah. It's part of the problem where you get older players who were stuck in a ruck. And what they're used to doing, they'll carry on doing. Whereas younger players, you can develop them into a philosophy where they're trying to adapt themselves in their game into what you want to do. And that's where we are, I'm afraid. We're looking at someone like Lacazette, who, quite frankly, is dead food right now. We should sell him in the summer and get what we can for him. I don't think that there's anything more we can learn from him as an Arsenal player. I really don't. And I like Lacazette. But unfortunately, I just don't. I think we'll get more out of Nketiah, and I think Nketiah's got a higher ceiling. I think that we'll be able to. If 18 goals is the best that Lacazette could get for us, I think if we start Nketiah for a whole season, he'll get way more than 18 goals. That's just my opinion. But I just want to see what the guys are saying here. Nice one, D-Dubs, man. Good to see you in the chat. He's saying, Apollo and team, big up. Nothing left for me to say on this trash. I did say cancel the season. Yeah, enough man want the season cancelled. Enough man is cancelling it from that loss against Brighton. Enough man are just done with it right now. Who really wants to watch a crock of shit? Yeah. They can't even fly because no one will take them players. Who's going to take Ozil? Who's going to take Xhaka? Who's going to take Mustafi? They won't even take them on a free because their salaries are too high. Aaron saying reunite Ozil with Ronaldo, trade Ramsey. I'd love to see Ramsey back. I don't know how they'll do those wages. And Willock needs to be in the pivot. Well, he is the number 10, and they don't see him any other way. He hasn't really impressed at the number 10, and that's where they really see him. Maybe it's time that they try him in another position, I think. He's been so good there, and his form this season has been horrid. Cooler saying Arsenal made 15 errors leading to goals in the Premier League last season in that period. And Leno, yes, I've pointed this out before to everybody that Leno was the most error-prone goalkeeper last season. And I think what you mean by that, and if you're not, then I'm going to elaborate anyway. What we mean on that is, guys, we can't be a successful team when we're bleeding this many errors. It's something that top teams don't do. So, James, Arteta, let's talk about the 5 things that he needs to do in order to be successful. So, firstly, he needs to connect with the fans and players. And the fans, I don't think, is a problem. There are a few, and I'm not going to call you idiots, but there are a few because you're completely entitled to your own opinion. Yeah, I believe in the fact that fans should have a voice, whether it's positive or negative. I don't have any problem with that. But there are a few fans that have just given up on Arteta, and some of the message you guys on some should see. One day I'll do a video just on the silly messages that I get. But I get some fans saying to me that Arteta should go this summer. And things. I'm just like, he's had 12 league games. What are you talking about? He's improved our away record. He's improved the defense. We're still averaging less than a goal a game underneath Arteta, even though it's been horrible over the last 2 games. But his job really is to connect with the fans and the players. Do you think that? How far do you think he's got in that development? And what's the onus is for next season, James?
Well, I think a lot of us need to understand that, like, you can't expect any manager, I suppose, for any team to just like change the team in 6 months or even a year. The thing is, there's a problem with especially the Premier League, and when you're a manager of a higher team, is a lot of the boards don't want to give you the chance. And like, I felt Emery's time was obviously always up, and Lundberg, I suppose, was just always going to be temporary, and he was just unlucky. I think, like, I was happy with Arteta. I was hesitant, but then I did my research and looked into him, and obviously read up everything. Like, if he can do what he did with the City players, and they still, to this day, praise him up and have confidence in him, then why can't we? Like, we can all see the changes in him. And like, as a fan, yes, I'm not disappointed in Arteta. I'm disappointed in Arsenal in general. Like, that's everything. I suppose. Like, the board not giving us transfer money, or us just not getting the players we need. Like the fact that we need to realize we're not going to get in Europe, so we're probably not going to get anyone that would say, like you said last week or the week before, that would get into, say, the Liverpool City team. But we should expect that because we're probably going to finish 9th. And, you know, there are 8 more teams that someone could go for rather than Arsenal in the Premier League right now. Like, we need to have faith. Like, who wants to come from another team to Arsenal full well knowing what our fan base is like right now? Like,
and the thing is, James, is any good TV pundit out there will tell you and has said to you that a new manager like Arteta in a big team needs 3 to 4 transfer windows before he can facilitate his own team, before he can change it and mold it into his own team. And that's important because your own team, then you can start to take the blame for things. You can't take the blame for a team that, quite frankly, has failed Freddie Ljungberg, they failed Emery, and they failed Wenger. You can't take the blame for that because none of those are the players that you chose outside of maybe obviously Mari, because he's had experience with Mari and at Man City, and Edu's the person that helped bring him over. But if you've not even had a transfer window yet, what are we doing, guys? Let's give this guy a few transfer windows to bring in the players he needs to bring in, and let's let him get his players in here. Then we can judge Arteta. But at the moment, right now, we just need to get behind him. Anything else to say on that, James, before I go to La African Guna?
I just feel like, you know, like I'm sure Arteta literally by now should know who's going to go. Maybe not who he's going to get because it's Arsenal. And like I said, a lot of people probably don't even think we're appetizing right now, you know? Like, I'd laugh. Like, final thoughts on, I think he just needs to, we just need to have faith. I know I said earlier I was losing it, but like, faith in Arteta, he's doing good bits and we're seeing it. It is just going to take, you know, a lot longer, but give him time. Give him time. It's a long work. We're a big project. But, you know, hopefully in like 2 or 3 years, we will be back to what we were before, you know, the great Arsenal.
So La African Guna, how does the saying go in Africa? How do you eat an elephant? Yeah? Not all at once, in little chunks, in little incremental chunks, yeah? That's what Arsenal have to do with this rebuild phase. And listen, about the young, what are we going to do with the young? Do you keep the faith in developing the young players because that's what you believe is your core foundation? You know, a team that can grow into young English internationals. Do you think is that a big part of it? Or should he just go and get rid of everything and just do a Chelsea and buy in prime players? Because Chelsea, let's face it, don't invest in youth. Even though there's a few of them that were forced into it because of the transfer ban. But listen, that was only because of the transfer ban. The Hudson-Odoi, Tammy Abrahams, they wouldn't be playing for this team if they were still buying 50, 60, 70 million players. We all know that that's true. So what does Arteta do? Does he keep the faith with the young players in the summer, like African Guna?
Listen, James was talking about faith. Man, I've been having faith for the last 4 or 5 last seasons, and look where it's gotten me, to crying and having these painful moments with Arsenal every week or every other week, right? So how much faith can you have? I mean, the reason we spend so much time, I mean, look at us. You know, we spend twice a week coming on this podcast, talking and pouring out our heart about Arsenal. That's faith for me, right? I mean, I wouldn't be coming on here unless I had that much faith in my team, right? But it's a two-way street, man. It has to be reciprocated by the club as well. It can't always be the fans having faith, you know. And you're right. I mean, I do think Arteta is the right man. But when you don't play Martinelli for 2 games in a row, like that impairs the amount of faith that I have in the manager, when I know that clearly that's something that he should be doing. And it's not just me, right? If the whole global fan base is saying that, then there's clearly something wrong, right? So it's a tough one. And you know what? I think that a lot of the frustration that people are pouring out on Arteta is coming from an accumulation of just frustration at the executive level, frustration at Emery, frustration at Wenger, right? We keep putting faith and we keep expecting something to change and change and change. And it doesn't matter if it was Arteta or anybody else, whoever comes in, like you said, it's the impossible job, right? So it's gonna be haters because we've been shit on year in, year out. I was telling Apollo, we haven't beaten a top 6 or a top 4 rival away from home in the last 4 or 5 years. That is crazy.
That is crazy. Yeah.
Like, that means we haven't been competitive for many, many years. You know that whenever we're playing a big team, you know, we're gonna get smacked. It doesn't matter what you think. Right? And the thing is, like, you know, Apollo is right? You know, small pieces of the elephant, right? And those small pieces is, as a fan, as an Arsenal fan, I expect us to be competing and beating the smaller teams. You know, when we go against the bigger teams, yes, it can be a 50-50 or they can have the advantage because we know that we're not good enough. But when we play the Brighton and the Norwiches and the other teams that we should be smacking up, that we used to smack up with Wenger 3-0, that is where, you know, the faith, if we keep losing, like if we lose tomorrow, how can you expect fans to keep getting hurt and keep having faith? That's the issue. So it's not Arteta's fault, you know, per se. It's just an accumulation of frustration that is being taken out on the manager because we're expecting results, because we've been told every year, oh, we're going to spend money, oh, we're going to improve. I mean, we've been in the Europa League for 4 years now, 4 seasons. That's a long time. And there's no more Europe next season. It's done for us. I don't think we're going to win the FA Cup. So what does that mean for Arsenal fans? How can you have faith? As we said, we're not going to attract any top players this summer. I mean, when people were talking about that we were gassed about Pepe. You know why we were gassed about Pepe? Because we were shocked that someone like Pepe was up to Arsenal when we were in a shithole. We were like, what the hell? How did we? And then there was so much hype about it, right? So yeah, I do agree that we should have, you know, Arteta should put faith into some of the younger players, but I don't think that's his choice. I think that he doesn't have a choice. We're not going to spend money as per usual, and unfortunately, you know, we're saying one step at a time. I mean, listen, guys, 4 or 5 years from now, you know, Arteta's still going to be in the same boat if we don't make drastic improvements. Apollo, my decision, scratch the whole team. I'm serious. Scratch the whole team. Even if we get no money, even if we get peanuts, we need to get rid of these guys. Even the players that come in, their mentality is affected because they know that our team is weak. We need to completely change the culture of this club. Get championship players that are going to break people's legs if they dribble them. I don't care. I want even players that I haven't heard of, but are going to die for the team, that are going to run till the end of the game and make sure that we never draw, because a draw is disgusting for a big team like Arsenal. We shouldn't be drawing against small teams. We should be winning 3-4-0. And that's the ambition that I have. Because personally, in my life, I'm an ambitious person, and I therefore expect my club or the team that I choose to support to have the same ambition that I do. And that's for any fan.
Bro, I can't wait till you get to London and we can go to the Emirates and see a game together. I really can't. So we've got number 1, guys, Arteta connecting with the fans and the players. We've got number 2, Arteta keeping the faith with the young guns. And from what African Guna said in that passionate speech, I definitely would play that. I would play them over the veteran players, because I've said time and time again, why are you dependent on players who have let you down? And not just that, but these veteran players have already reached their ceiling. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. And with the young players, you can play them, but then they'll develop and then they'll get better. There's that something in the back of your mind that you know that this player will be a better player, like Saka or Martinelli or Nelson or any of these guys. What you're seeing is not the finished article. And as the player develops, then you'll be able to reap the benefits of those rewards. So, as I said, we've got those 2. Number 3, Dan, I'm throwing you the hard ones tonight, aren't I? Number 3, what do we do with Lacazette and Aubameyang? What does Arteta do with them?
That's a kind of I agree with African Guna. Get rid of him, man.
I agree. You got my backing, bro. Get rid.
Because it's reinvestable, the money, isn't it? Like, but if I was going to keep any one of them, it would obviously be over, innit? But get rid of him, man. But you know the problem is I can't see us getting like more than 20 mil for Lacazette, even with 2 years left. I can't see us getting more than 20 mil for him.
Yeah, if we can't get market value, then you have to keep him, because his wages isn't that astronomical either.
Yeah, so, but what has he done to attract big club to spend big money on him. He's 27 going on 28. Yeah.
He was scoring
What has he
30,
done?
he was scoring 35, 40 goals a season in France. And he
Yeah.
come here, he scored, I think it was 11, then he got 18 goals.
And he's
It was
always injured. He gets fat. He don't run nowhere. He passes the ball to the opposition players when he's passing back towards our goal. Like this guy.
people was moaning that Giroud could only score 20 goals. And this guy...
At least Giroud can head the ball though and get up for, like, I swear down, man. You know Martinelli would do a lot better for a full season than Lacazette ever would if he was up front. What is wrong with these guys? Why don't they put this guy through the middle? Why is it obsession with putting him on the wing? What is it? Every time he's played through the middle, the man will leap above 6'5" defenders and score a headed goal, bro. Like, what small player do you see that scores as many headers as Martinelli has this year? None. He reminds me of Sanchez, bro. Remember when we had Alexis and he used to just leap above big man, score headers and that? Yeah. That's what I'm saying. We need this guy in the team. And I agree with everything you lot have just been saying. The youth is much more. Do you remember when Fergie caught all the flack because he sold Kanchelskis? And I'm showing my age now, isn't it? Yeah, but he sold Kanchelskis, he sold Brian McClare, all them top guys for them, Mark Hughes, all them top guys. And then he brought in Beckham, Scholes, Neville brothers, all of them lot, yeah, Giggs, all of them. And then they turned it around. And I know that's 25 years ago now, but still, it does. Youth can work as long as you've got the right youth players. And I think people like Martinelli, Saliba, these guys are youth players, but they're the best youth players in the world. Do you see what I'm saying? The most, even Guendouzi. I know certain people don't rate him too highly, but for his age, this guy is way ahead of where he's supposed to be. So for young players, I think we're in a very healthy position as long as we do the right things and stop playing these guys like Lacazette, bro.
Yeah, for real. So guys, again, win the faith of the club, the fans, the players. Keep the faith in the young guns. Get rid of Lacazette and Aubameyang and just
all deadwood. Get rid of all the deadwood. Just do it. I agree with Lacazette. Get rid of all of them. All of them.
Just get rid of all of them. I'll throw this one at James. James. Number 4 that Arteta needs to do is find some leadership.
To be fair, like, I don't even remember the last time. Maybe checked, but I remember the last time we had leader. You know, like not like a leader. Like back in the day when we were Arsenal, we had leaders. Like, this is the thing, and the leaders we have got, the captains that we've got, they're either not playing well or they've lost faith in just playing for us. And they're supposed to be role models. They're the locker room leaders. And if they do not have any faith in Arteta or like any faith in the future of this club, then how are the young guns? How's anybody that, even us fans, how do we expect to have anything? Like, you know, it's, I don't know.
I mean, the thing is, what you've got to think is that when we did Sunday's show, I had African Guna, Tony, and Bertram and Ebony. I said to them, I switched over to the non-crowd, the fake crowd. I switched over to the empty noise just for 10 minutes to see what was going on. And I didn't hear anything. There wasn't no Arsenal players, no communication, no leadership. And if you heard the Brighton players were getting into each other and they were screaming demands and you're supposed to be there. Don't pick up your man. You couldn't hear a pin drop from the Arsenal players. It just goes to show how the leadership was lacking. There's 2 times I heard one player speak twice. And guess who that player was?
Leno.
Guendouzi. And the thing about Guendouzi is we used to talk about how he was the only player who used to run to the sidelines to Emery to get instructions to run back up. He was 19 when he was doing that. Why weren't Xhaka? Why weren't them veterans doing what he was doing? He was running to the sidelines, getting instructions, running back. And a 19-year-old was doing that. What is going on? So, look, there's a complete capitulation and a lack of leadership. And that's our number 4. Our number 5, we go to, who's next? Is it La African Guna? La African Guna, number 5. What Arteta needs to do is build the defense around Saliba.
Yeah, so firstly, in terms of what James just said about leadership, we haven't had leadership since Wenger. I mean, again, it's a cycle, right? This has been 4 or 5 years. We said we didn't have a leader. I mean, I remember clearly watching pundits saying, where's the leader? Who's speaking? So this is a recurring theme, right? These are all recurring themes, which is why fans get frustrated and are negative and stuff, is because these recurring themes have never been addressed over so many years, and we keep falling, and now all of a sudden everyone is like waking up and saying like, hey, holy crap, all these other teams are catching up to us. Why didn't we address this when we could have, and when we could have potentially ended this cycle, right? So that is really important in terms of leadership. We all know we need leaders, and you're right, Apollo. Guendouzi was the leader last year, but unfortunately, I think that comment that came out by Mopai saying that Guendouzi was talking about his wages and stuff, and that Arsenal players need humility. I 100% agree with that, and it hurts for me to say that about our own Arsenal players, but no, Idan, it's true. Our players are too entitled, man, and that's why they're. Yes.
Do you know why Guendouzi was saying that? Yeah, he was saying that because he was vexed at what he did to Leno. And my point last week here was that none of our players showed any spine when Leno got injured like that. He got shoved in the air, and none of our players showed any spine whatsoever. Can you imagine, if you injured a player when Vieira was on the pitch, or if you injured one of our players when Keown or Adams was on the pitch? You would have got your head slapped off, fam. You get me? Sure. And then, man, they're like going up to. I seen Saka go up to him and spud him and go, "It's all right, bruv." Like I literally lip read him saying, "It's all right, bruv."
Yeah, that's not supposed to happen. I don't know, out of the 3 of you guys who follows American football, but if somebody has a late hit on your quarterback, and you're an offensive lineman, your job is to protect your quarterback. If someone puts a late hit on your quarterback, prepare to feel the wrath of your offensive lineman. I've seen players get ejected, for watching their quarterback get a late hit, and they're throwing punches.
Because even basketball, when man used to foul up Scottie Pippen, you see what Dennis Rodman used to do to them, bruv. He will come and elbow you in your boat, bruv. And then we're allowing people to just foul our players now and then say, "It's all right, bruv, it's all right, don't worry." That's why Guendouzi was fucking him up. It was childish saying about your wages, but still, he needed to do something, bro.
That's my point. You're 100% right. I 100% agree with you. But to bring the money thing, for me, shows where his head is at. The reason he did really well last year is because he had his head down and he didn't have a big head. He realized he was a small kid coming from a league where no one used to watch. Now he's playing for the big Arsenal, and he was dedicated. He cannot lose his head and start talking about wages and money like that. That's the wrong attitude. I agree with you 100%. He should leave something on him, and the way you do it is not talk about money, dude. You show it on the pitch that I'm a better player than you, and
you
because
showed it.
I'm gonna a lesson, right? So that's my point. I agree with you, but it's nothing to do about money, right? And for players that play for big clubs, a lot of the time they get big-headed because of the wages they get paid. And now in terms of what we were talking about, Saliba, I think we all are putting a lot of hopes on him, right? Because we're not going to sign another centre back.
Because we can't put all the players we've got now.
Right? I mean, what happens if he doesn't perform? I really hope he's the leader that we all expect. I really hope that he makes the players around him much better, even though it's supposed to be the opposite. David Luiz and the other experienced guys should be making him, teaching him stuff. I think it's going to be the other way around. I think he's going to be teaching the other players stuff and grabbing the game by the neck. And I really hope that we don't put too much expectation from him and he doesn't get injured, because there's a lot of pressure on him to deliver. And there's good reason to. He showed that he can. And now he's coming into a big team that's missing a solid defense. So we really need him.
We need them. So guys, in the chat, we have found our 5 reasons for Arteta to build success in the summer with this team. And number 1 is to keep the faith with the fans and the players, get the players on board. Number 2 is to keep the faith in the young players and bring them through and develop them. Number 3, get rid of Lacazette and Aubameyang. Can't be doing this. We remember what happened when we had Sanchez and Ozil, and then all the Ramsey fiasco with the contracts. Look, just let them go, man, and build a team with players who want to be here and want to fight for the badge. Number 4, find leadership. Number 5, build the team around Saliba. Build the defense, the centre backs, rock solid centre back pairing with Saliba. You've got, look, Callum Chambers, Mari, you've got Rob Holding. And Rob Holding, I thought played really well against Brighton. He wasn't at fault for any of the goals. And I thought it was a game that he needed in order to build his confidence. I really hope he plays well against Southampton, because that would be, if he does, that would be 2 games back-to-back from Rob Holding. And, you know, I'm the biggest Rob Holding fan. Big shout out to his agent. And listen, that's it for the show, guys. Let's do a roundabout for Southampton tomorrow. Big game. What's going to happen tomorrow, La African Guna?
I feel stupid to say that we're gonna win, right? I mean, this is your heart. Your heart just can't help it to say that we're gonna win.
Guys in the chat as well. Guys in the chat, let's hear your predictions for Arsenal Southampton. I know most of you already told me on Sunday, but we've had a few days to think about it and you know, get over it. So let's hear what your predictions are. Have they changed in the last few days? Go on, La African Gunner. Let's hear it.
Yeah. Again, I mean, everyone knows on this panel, Martinelli was my favorite player, and it was really a dagger to my heart when I heard that he's going to be out. It makes me more angry of why he didn't play in those first 2 games. But it doesn't change my input or my feelings on the game. I definitely think Ozil needs to come in this game. I know that he doesn't show up away from home and he doesn't run enough and stuff, but we need the creativity. He needs to come into the team. Xhaka hopefully will bring some sort of leadership and stability to the midfield, and I think Pepe is building some confidence. I'm really seeing maybe a 3-1, but then again, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we lose. So my heart is saying that we're gonna win. My mind is saying potentially 2-1 Southampton. Danny Ings again, you know, I mean,
he's gonna score. He's gonna score against us. He's gonna score.
3-1 Arsenal. Please don't let me down.
So you've gone for 3-1 Arsenal. James is sweating right now, man. James, what's going to happen against Southampton? Let's hear some love, man. Let's hear some love.
I expect us. I want us. I really think we should be beating teams like Southampton, especially after what happened with Brighton. We do not want a point, and we don't want the loss. We need the win for fans. We need the win for the players and the morale. We need to win. Even for Arteta, we need a win. Like, we really can't afford to lose to Southampton. And 60% of me thinks like we're going to, but
come on, let's hear it. Come on, get in there.
It's going to be 1-0 for us. Like I said earlier, it's going to be a sloppy, scrappy game. But I think like we'll score late on, and someone I reckon I reckon Eddie would score as well. I think it's the sort of game that Eddie will score in. But I think 1-0, like sloppy. It's gonna be very, very sloppy, but we need to win. So 1-0 to us.
Okay, there's a lot of good stuff going on there. 18 is saying 1-0 to Arsenal. Style is saying a draw. I'll take a draw, bro, because I seriously went for 3-1 Southampton. So I'll take a draw, even though it's not good for us.
We cannot draw.
Listen, anything would be better than a loss, and I didn't think that we were going to go up there and get a result. Stephen, good to see you, Stephen, in the chat. As Stephen says 3-2 loss. That sounds probably about right. Kuke is saying 2-1 Arsenal win. As Cricket's saying 2-0 Southampton. Arsenal fan reviews, good to see you there. What's your prediction for tomorrow's game? Dan, let's hear. Dan, give me some love, bro. Give me some love. Man don't look like he's got no love in him to give.
2-0 Arsenal.
2-0 Arsenal. So, okay. Dan's going for 2-0 Arsenal.
Don't ask me to expand on that because I'll start going down a negative.
And listen, we already know what Bertram, Tony, and Ebony, they've already given their opinion on that. But guys, that's where we are. That's it for tonight, guys. I promised the wife I'm going to jump in the hot tub with her. So that's the reason why I'm trying to get off now. It's quarter past 10.
Too much information, mate. Too much.
Hot tub time machine business, you know. Go back to 1989 when we won at Anfield and won the title there. For real. So listen, that's it, guys. Where can we find you, La African Gunner?
You can find me on Twitter at La African Gunner and my YouTube channel, La African Gunner.
Excellent. James, where can we find you? And big shout out to the free Martinelli hashtag right there, which, by the way, I started on Twitter and no one's picking it up. But my hashtag is free Martinelli Arsenal. The reason why it's not just free Martinelli is because there's somebody already using that. I think it's a South American player. So that's the reason why I said free Martinelli Arsenal. That's the hashtag. And yeah, believe me, there's bare bones on there right now. I think there's comments from 2 people. I talked to Lee Judges today about it as well on Twitter. It's a lonely world as a Martinelli fan. Where can we find you, James?
Yeah, on YouTube, Twitter at That Brilliant Show, and obviously I'm on the 101 page on Facebook.
Excellent. And Dan, where can we find you?
At home, mate. No, I'm joking. At Idhan YT, everything. Idhan YT, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook as well. Yeah.
Brilliant. So that's it for the show, guys. We're going to try and do, let me see, Thursdays tomorrow. Depending on what happens at the Southampton, guys, it's an early kickoff. It's 6 o'clock. So give me a couple of hours and I might do something at 10. I might do something at 10 o'clock tomorrow. If not, then I'll probably just make a small video and then we'll pick it up on the show. If we lose, I definitely ain't doing a video and then I'll pick it up with them guys on Sunday. But if we win, then I'll definitely might jump on tomorrow for an hour. So that's it, guys. Thank you for all your commitment and your support in the chat room, guys. Always appreciated. And I'll speak to you guys in the next one. Peace out.
Safe.